always. But Caleb, so nice to have you here. I really feel so honored to work with you and have you be a part of our bureau. And we're starting to work together this year on upcoming engagement. And I know
Yeah.
there will be so many more. But I just wanted to start with that of how
Thank
excited
you.
I am.
Thank you. As I am. I feel like sometimes, Ingrid, you just come across people and there's like energetically things just connect. And I feel that with you. And so I'm excited
Thank
to
you.
be here, one, and then also to continue to grow this working relationship.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise. Okay, so let's start with who is Caleb?
Okay. That's a great question. One I'm still exploring. One that I don't know if I actually will ever truly be able to answer. But as of now, you
Mm,
know, I am somebody that just deeply cares about the heart of an individual. A
mm,
lot of speakers and a lot of people that are in my line of work, they want to talk about engagement, they want to talk about performance, they want to talk about culture, and all of these things are necessary and they are all wildly important. But if we are so disconnected from our center, if we are operating on the margins of our capacity day after day, and we lose ourselves in the pursuit of success, right? We undermine the true ability to make a lasting impact, not just in our work, but in our daily lives. And so much of my work and who I am is really, a deep desire to get to the heart of the matter, and that's the heart of an individual. And the reason why that's so important, because I am somebody as a West Point graduate, an Army officer, and an NFL draft pick, an NFL athlete, as you can imagine, a very high achieving, high performing individual that always had very big expectations. And, despite being the biggest, the fastest, and the strongest that I've ever been, despite reaching the dream, there came a time where I woke up and I looked in the mirror and I realized that I no longer really knew the person that was staring back at me. And that in and of itself created such a debilitating inner experience. On one side of the coin, like, I'm the biggest, the fastest, the strongest that I've ever been. I'm performing at my best. I'm at the highest level of the game. But on the other side of the coin, there was just this internal experience was so underdeveloped in my life. And when I walked away from the NFL, I just had to go on a journey of really, really better understanding what it means to become a whole leader, a whole person. And that's really the heartbeat behind all of the work that I do and who I am today.
One of the biggest things that I like to preach is self-awareness is the new intelligence.
Yes. Yes. And the beautiful thing about self-awareness is when I tell you that I was the least self-aware person you have ever met in your life at one point in time, I am not exaggerating. Self-awareness, like any other muscle, it's something that can be expanded and contracted. It's something that can be built over time. And that's some of my favorite work to do, is to help really expand the muscles of self-awareness so that we can create what people call the psychological gap in our life. And what that does is it allows us to become the observer of our experiences. And it creates that space that allows us to respond to the stress, to the fear, to the anxiety, to a lot of these experiences that are wildly uncomfortable and debilitating. But because we have the awareness to observe it, there's that little bit of psychological space in between us and that experience, allowing us to respond in a way that truly aligns with who we are at the core.
What has self-awareness done to you? I mean, I know this is the whole,
Yeah.
but I'm curious, not what has done to you specifically, but the doors that has opened, the
Mhm.
benefits of self-awareness.
It's a great question. I would say there's so many ways I could answer this question. For me, self-awareness has been really the catalyst to reclaiming agency over my life.
Mm,
And no longer needing life to look a certain way before I am okay, but knowing with self-awareness that I can navigate and maneuver and adapt to whatever might come or not come my way. And so
mm,
self-awareness has really put me in the driver's seat, back in the driver's seat to my life. I'm no longer forfeiting my equanimity or my inner peace when things aren't going right. I'm no longer allowing another individual to take away my happiness or my joy in
mm,
life. Right? I have the self-awareness to become the observer of my life, which allows me to no longer be lost in my emotional experience, right? But I can observe my emotional experience. And I think that in and of itself, Ingrid, has led me down, various paths that have opened the door to experiencing just a deeper, not only meaningful way of doing life, but an unmatched life satisfaction and inner joy that I had never even thought was possible.
That's so beautiful. And I think nowadays, too, leaders have to lead teams through change. And so, what a
Mm.
better way than starting with themselves? I mean, they kind of have to, right?
Yeah. I'm somebody that strongly believes like we can't take people where we are unwilling to go ourselves.
Mm.
Right. And so like this next evolution of expansion, whether it's professionally or personally, I honestly think that, like, let me say it this way, Ingrid. I don't have to, anytime I stand on a stage or I'm working with leaders, I don't have to tell anybody how to be more resilient. I don't
Mhm.
have to tell anybody how to survive another day. We have a PhD in survival. We have a PhD in resiliency. And what I really want to focus on and what my heart is really all about is my work isn't about teaching you how to push through the pain and survive another day, because you do that really well. My
Mm.
work is to help you expand within so that you can create the inner bandwidth, the mental and the emotional capacity, the spaciousness that's needed in a world where there's relentless noise of expectations and pressure, not only to show up as your best self and do your subsequently your best work, but to have the bandwidth after a long, hard day to go home to the people that you love and to show up fully yourself once again. Like,
Mm.
that's where true life satisfaction is found. That's where we really heavily influence the overall well-being of our lives. And so it's less of a push through the pain and survive another day and work harder mentality, and a more of a, let me embrace a little stillness in my life. Let me put on the glasses of self-reflection. Let me increase the muscles of self-awareness. Let me look within so that I can expand within and create the bandwidth, the capacity that's needed to really show up and to continue to exceed expectations despite the inevitable chaos that's swirling around us.
I think about your military. I mean, it's such a contrast.
Yeah.
You
It's,
had to really go through that. Yeah.
yeah, it's when I part of my story is, I was the second player out of the history of West Point to ever get drafted into the NFL. And I was the first player given the permission to go play and serve simultaneously because of a new policy that was implemented by the Department of Defense my sophomore year at the academy, which was allowing service academy graduates to play and serve simultaneously if they had a professional contract. And when I got drafted, they called me America's athlete. Let me tell you, I know they meant well when they said that, but I heard nothing good in that statement, right? What I heard is you have to have it all together all the time. What I heard is, Caleb, don't you dare be weak. What I heard is, Caleb, failure is not an option. And there's this in this moment that should have meant everything to me. Suddenly there was just this heaviness of expectations and pressure that suffocated the joy right out of this experience. And there was a part of me that wanted to be honest, like, and to let people know that I'm the furthest thing away from America's athlete, because I'm very well aware of the fear that's in me. But I'm also terrified to let other people see that, just how scared I really am. Because if you see how scared I really am, you'll quickly see that I'm the furthest thing away from America's athlete. And I say all of that because on the day that I was scheduled to start my first NFL season, the Department of Defense actually came in and they let me and the team, the Detroit Lions who drafted me, know that that policy that was placed into effect my sophomore year at the academy no longer exists. It was rescinded, and I was to return back to active duty immediately. And they rewrote this new policy that would allow me, after serving for 3 years, if I could get a new NFL contract and if I could get the permission of my commanding officer, then I could make my way back to the NFL. I don't know if you know this, Ingrid, but getting an NFL contract, kind of
Oh,
hard to begin with.
yeah. In 3
Not
years is like the world of a
not to
difference.
mention, right, to being out of the game. But here's what most people don't know. Most people don't know that I was so thrilled. I was so excited when they told me that I couldn't play, because in my head, it kind of was like a get out of jail free card. In my head, I didn't have to be exposed as the person that actually isn't America's athlete, that doesn't have what it takes, right? Because I knew it was only a matter of time before I would get exposed. And I say this often, and I see so many people in the same exact experience. Like, I wasn't using all of my energy to get better. I was
Mm,
using all of my energy trying to hold together this image,
mm,
right, of the person and the leader I thought I was supposed to be or that people expected me to be. I was doing everything I could to prevent myself from being found out.
mm,
Those are two drastic ways of using your energy and living lives.
mm,
So when they told me I couldn't play, I was elated because in my head, it was like, amazing. I don't
mm,
have to be exposed and I can go back and I can put in the work to make sure that I am bigger, faster, and stronger so that if I do get the opportunity one day down the road to come back to the NFL, I will have outworked this fear. And that was
mm,
my mentality. And I think it's a similar mentality to a lot of other people. Well, 3 years later, I got a new NFL contract. That was the biggest, the fastest, the strongest I've ever been. I made my way back to the NFL only to come to the harsh reality that there was no amount of external work that I could ever do that would help reconcile this internal war that I was feeling.
mm,
All of that fear, all of that anxiety, all of that overwhelm, the pressure, it just grew stronger. And I kind of realized that I was playing a losing game until I was willing to look within.
mm,
And so that's just so much as, again, the heartbeat. I just want to reiterate that
mhm,
it's not about necessarily pushing through the pain and doing more and trying harder. Do results matter? Does
mhm,
performance, is it important? Is success important? Yes, 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 absolutely. But if we want to create the capacity that allows us to perform at our best and do it more sustainably without performing or without burning out, then at some point we're going to have to actually look within and expand within, most importantly. And that's really, the heartbeat behind all of this.
That's like the medicine we all need to take now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I went on that journey. I can relate to you in
I
so
love it.
many levels because and I actually the more not the less I did because it wasn't about doing less.
Yes,
It was
thank you for
about
saying that.
yeah, it was about knowing that I was in control of my time and that I
Mm,
didn't need to fill my time, that I could look within the seasons of the year and
mhm.
I could bookmark times where it was just about and just
Yeah,
creating that new schedule for myself and I've never done better,
I
and
love this.
than trying to push and not be self-aware of how I'm
Yeah.
feeling. So I okay, so let's talk about workshops and keynotes. And so your
Oh,
keynote, so tell me a little bit more about the keynote, and then I know we're heading into Veterans Day, and then there's
yeah.
military. So tell me also what that keynote looks like.
Yeah, so the keynotes, I have a few different keynotes, and I really try, like, my heartbeat is to work with every single one of my clients or anybody that wants to work
You
with
do
me
really
to,
great to customize it.
yeah, to customize it and to tailor a message that really fits your individual and collective needs because we're all a diverse group of individuals and not everybody has the same challenges and the same issue. But at the heartbeat of the keynote, the one line that I say, and I've been saying it for a while now, is, that, and I say it, and so many people resonate with it. It never fails. I see so many people in the audience shaking their heads up and down. And it's right now, as we are operating on the margins of our capacity day after day,
Mhm.
right? We're finding ourselves the type of tired that more sleep doesn't solve,
Mm,
right? There's like this deep exhaustion that no amount of, Netflix Sundays and weekends at the beach actually resolves. There's something deep going on in us because, again, we are just facing rapid change, unlimited resources, unparalleled uncertainty, the relentless noise of expectations and pressures coming from every direction, professionally and personally.
mhm,
I don't care who you are. Eventually, you're going to find yourself wearing thin,
mhm,
right? And so much of my work is the paradigm shifts in this keynote that I offer, are the paradigm shifts that help us step into this next evolution of expansion in our lives, professionally and personally, not in spite of the fear, the stress, the pressure that we inevitably are going to experience, but because of it.
mm,
Like, how do we leverage the inevitable experience that we all are going to have? And that is the experience that this is hard.
mhm,
Stress, you can count on it. Fear, absolutely. Overwhelm, inevitably, right? But if we can actually leverage these experiences will become the very thing that help us expand our capacity within so that we can step into that next tier of success. Because this is so important because I think we'll both agree the world's not slowing down. Nothing is
mhm,
slowing down. It's only going to increase from here on out. And so we have to create the paradigm shifts to be able to work with these inevitable experiences in a way that are conducive to us growing within so that we can step into that next evolution of success. And I say that we do that when we expand within first. A lot of our external pursuits become more effortless. They become easier. It doesn't feel like we're at war with our lives
That's flow.
anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're in more of a flow state. It's just a much more effortless and conducive experience where we can reclaim the morale and the passion that we
Mhm.
once had for the job that we did, but we lost it as we're just merely surviving another day.
Mhm. And this is so important for leaders because leaders have to learn how they're also creating these unsustainable realities for people,
Yes.
and by not being self-aware.
This is the beautiful part about this work is whenever you are willing to expand within and look within, inevitably what happens is that is the really the embodiment of authenticity. Okay. When you're allowing yourself to say yes to this inner journey, you're embodying a measure of authenticity, which inevitably deepens trust.
Mhm.
Trust with yourself and trust with the people that you're doing life with, whether that's at work or at home. And if there is one experience that has reinforced itself time and time again, Ingrid, and is that whether it's from my time at West Point, serving in the military, or playing in the NFL, it's that a team or an organization is always going to move at the speed of trust.
Mhm.
Always. And there is no trust if we are not being real. And so the greatest demonstration of being real is this willingness to look within, right? And that's where it really all starts.
Mm. So powerful. Yeah, I think that it's like getting to the roots of the problem, and we need more keynotes and
Yeah.
speakers like you that
Thank
get to
you.
the root of it, because that's just what the world needs right now, and
Yeah.
leaders need more than ever. So, Caleb, thank you for this time.
Thank
Anything
you.
else that you'd like to share that
Ah,
you feel like you didn't
I'm
say?
so excited. I just love the work that I do. I love opportunities to have these conversations. Um, and I'm just always grateful when I come across people, whether it's a room, of C-suite execs or I'm in a room of 5,000 at a conference. I know as I'm looking at every single individual and as anybody that's watching this, like I know that every single one of us, like you've been to hell and back.
Mhm.
Like life has been hard. It has not been easy. Like the ground that we were once standing on that was once so steady and sturdy, it has been pulled out from underneath us. And
Mhm.
it's shaky, it's wobbly, it's disorienting, and it's confusing at times. Right. But I also know every single person that I talk to or have the chance to interact with, they keep showing up because they're sitting there in that seat in front of me. For anybody that's watching this, you are watching this because you keep showing up.
Mhm.
And it's just a deep desire of mine to speak into the lives of these individuals so that we understand the next steps, the new way forward that's going to breathe new life into these burned out hearts and tired
Mhm.
souls so that we can stand in the growing complexity of today and the uncertainty of tomorrow, really not just with a renewed sense of spirit, but with an open heart, believing that the best is yet to come. And that's what we need right now more than ever before. Our leaders, yes, with the renewed sense of spirit, but also believing that the best is yet to come.
Mm. I just need to end there because that was so powerful. Thank you,
Thank
Caleb.
you. I appreciate it.